now doing a small, short presentation of our 50th anniversary book. It is an honor and indeed a great pleasure for me to put here a few words as a foreword to this anniversary book of the IAEG. The book is a commemoration of the 50 years of existence of our association and its contribution to the field of engineering geology since its creation in 1964. Developing this book has also been a very special moment of collaboration and exchange between active, retired, and knowledgeable members of our association. Indeed, most of the papers within the book have been written as a collaborative effort. However, where individuals have contributed significantly to a paper, their names accompany the text. The book describes the facts that motivated the founding of the IAEG, its evolution throughout the years, the people who have directed it, the services provided by its publications, congresses and meetings, and the awards given. It also reflects on the association's present situation among the societies of earth science and engineering, and its perspective for the future. This anniversary book does not intend to be a triumphant publication, a mere chronicle of the past, but instead it wishes to present the IAEG as a fruit of eager enthusiasm by a group of scientists and professionals who sought to create an association that would unite national groups from every continent with the aim of developing engineering geology through collaboration, communication, and the exchange of knowledge and research. Today, our organization occupies a relevant position alongside other scientific societies. It has won the respect and consideration of its sister societies and is a founding member of the Federation of Societies Involved in Geoengineering, FEDIX. Sorry a second. Okay. This is the first page. You can observe the title and the people who were the editors by alphabetic orders of this book. The genesis of the project, the idea emerged alongside a meeting in Madrid 3 years ago between myself, Giorgio Lolino, and Sebastián Dupré. Immediately, a steering group was created, formed by the two past presidents, Paul Marinos here and Ricardo Oliveira, and the past Secretary General Sebastian Dupré. We engaged two professional editor and graphic designer for ensuring the quality. And during these 3 years, numerous meetings in Lisbon, Torino, Madrid, Barcelona, many teleconferences, and hundreds of communication and email were sent. And at the beginning of 2014, the draft was presented for final revision. In early 2014, this year, the final version was sent to the printer XII Press in Beijing. Due to the delays in delivery, one part of the edition was sent by plane to the Congress, and the rest will be sent by ships to the national groups. Here you can observe one of the working meetings. This is in Madrid University, Polytechnics. You can observe Ricardo Oliveira, Paul Marinos, François Mbou, and the editor-in-chief, the lady. I must say that the preparation of this book would not have been possible without the invaluable contribution of all the people listed in this list. François Mbou, the General Secretary of the IAEG, and you can read all the names, Rafik Hassan, Helmut Bock, etc., etc. Even we have Valentina Shivakova that unfortunately passed away recently. All of them, we are very grateful, and all of them have collaborated for preparing this book. And also, we are very grateful to all those who provided images, even when some of the images were not possible to insert. One other picture of one of the sessions of the working committee, you can see here François and the two ladies, the graphic designer and the editor, working. On behalf of all of you, of the IAEG, a great thanks should be addressed to the 3 other co-editors by alphabetic order. Oh, sorry. Sebastian Dupré, Paul Marinos, you can observe him working heavily, intensely, and Ricardo, surrounded by hundreds of pictures, because I must say that most of the photographs, they were from the Phototech of Ricardo Oliveira. Here were all of us after one of the meetings in Madrid Polytechnic University. And the excellent quality of the book, that I am sure you will appreciate, is largely due to the professionalism and involvement of 2 ladies, Marian Copeland, editorial and project manager, and Sophie Roche, graphic designer. And Han Pen, I have not the picture of him, sorry, is the publishing manager. The production of the book would not have been possible without the support of Springer for the permission to reproduce the materials, the Chinese Academy of Science for financing the printing of the book by XII Press in Beijing, and the US IAEG Foundation for partially financing, generally financing this project. This is the index, the content overview. You can observe that there, I don't want to be very detailed, but we have the origins of the IAEG, the historical part, memoirs of the past President and Secretary General, the services provided by the IAEG, the history of the IAEG wars, and a vision to the future. And also, we have included some appendix with a list of executive committee members, commission, the list of the congresses, the bulletin. Here, this textbook of engineering geology, it was a big debate. We really organized a big debate for deciding which textbook we can recommend it. And between the group who are just on the stage, we have a big discussion until we finally decided which textbooks we can recommend. Photographs are then organized by decades and acronyms. And this is the cover. I am sure that you will be enjoy and you will be appreciate and you will be grateful for all the work made by these people who are in front of me that really work very hard. They spend many hours preparing this book. Thank you very much. And I should like now, by alphabetic order, to allow the members of this steering committee to give their personal impression and to explain his personal vision of the book. So please, Sebastian.
Good afternoon to all. Bonjour à tous. Buongiorno a tutti. Can I have my presentation, please? Well, you will see there's obviously some redundancy between Carlos' presentation and my presentation, but I want to reassure you we've been better coordinated while producing the book, so don't worry. Yes? I know some of you have their stomach working very hard after lunch, and I thought before I say a few words, especially because they are redundant with Carlos partly, I should make it a bit more entertaining, or if possible, making your brain work. So I propose to all of you a little quiz as a starter. Okay, so a little quiz. I can see no A's, no hand raised, saying I don't want that, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, first question. Everybody thinking very hard. Where was the very first meeting on creation of IAEG held? 1964 at the Geological Society of America in Miami Beach. 1964 during the 22nd International Geological Congress in New Delhi. Or 1927 at the International Committee meeting on the history of geology in Armenia. So response A, please raise your hand. Come on, response A, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Response B. Okay, I can notice some of you have been listening to Giorgio's talk this morning. Response C. Response C. In general, engineering geologists are rather good in math because, 64 plus 50 doesn't make that. We wouldn't meet today. Well, not too bad. I hope there will be a bit more participation on the second one. Most of you, or at least some of you, know these people. This picture was taken in Nottingham during the Congress of 2006. So among the four names, which one shouldn't be on that list? Mr. Zaruba, Sergeyev, Carlos Delgado, or Lenger? I agree with you, this is a tricky one, a difficult one. So response A? Well done. Response B? Are you tired or something? Okay. Response C, Carlos Delgado? Good. Response D, Michael Lenger? Okay. Well, that was Carlos, because at the time when the picture was taken, all these people have been president, and they were at Nottingham. And the three, Zaruba, Zagiev, and Lenger, had been president, but not Carlos Delgado was elected there. And, sorry, the very difficult one. How many international events have been held by or in relation with IAEG over these last 50 years? 3 answers: 61, 107, 132. Well, that's a difficult one. I guess you are all divided these numbers by 50 to see how many event it is per year. I would do that anyway. So, response A, 61. Okay, response B, some people for 107, 132. Oh, that's very sharp. We should do another vote, but we have no time for that. Okay, in reality, it's 132, which is nearly 3 per year, which is, well, I was very impressed when we did that count. So people who had the 3 answers right to question 1, 2, and 3, please raise your hands. Oh, very good. You should have been on the editorial team, isn't it? But I see a large majority of you were not in a capacity to find an answer, so I think that was very useful. We produced that book, and we had a lot of sweat producing it. So it has been a very long process. From 2011 to 2013, I must say nearly nothing happened, although some paper came in, but there was a long discussion on the approach, and it was decided it should be produced by engineering geologists for engineering geologists, and not using external contribution. And in 2013, an editorial committee was created, and this is where really the project started. The overview, I'm not going to present that again in detail. You'll have plenty of time to read that, having a good cognac along your chimney. But I'd like to invite all of you who have never been to an IAEG event to look at this part here, which is IAEG services, because it presents all the basically services that are provided by IAEG to you. So please have a look at that. And the final brush till today, written contribution came from more than 25 authors, and there was a big effort in illustrating the book, because we didn't want that book to be like a textbook or a report or something boring. We wanted you to have a nice book you'd like to flick through when you have time, so it needed a nice illustration, and this was a big job because there are more than 300 illustrations in there, which means we nearly had 600 in our hands, and there was a big effort of all the community to provide pictures. As Carlos said, this book would have never become to a reality if these 2 ladies, Marianne Copeland and Sophie Roche, had not been on board since end of October, and I do a little advertising for it. That's why there is this email. I mean, they make it happen. And finally, this book was printed, and you will receive it soon. My last slide on the distribution of the book. This is a big question that some of you have raised already. So the book is presented in English mostly, but also with some part which are translated in the other official language of the association, which is French. Nearly 300 copies are printed or will be printed on paper and delivered with a CD. And all the attendees of today, you will find a little voucher in your badge. So after 3 o'clock at the coffee break, if you come in the place where the coffee will be given, you will receive 1 book, again 1 voucher. And if you want more books, or if your national group wants more books, you should get in contact with the Secretary General, who will sort that out. The book will be obviously sent to national groups and also to all the partners, some of them being here today. The book is also, or will be very soon, available on the internet. And for those who are a fan of tablets and all these things, you can also have direct access with this QR code to the book. Well, I'd just like to say 2 words of conclusion, showing you the front cover on the back of the book. The first one is, I think this is a sort of typical example on how IAEG can produce and deliver something within a finite mandate with involvement of a large community within IAEG and with strong project management, and also with hiring the competence we need. So I think this is one example among others, but I think we should take that lesson for future production. And I must say also that this was not only a production, but also really a great human adventure with some of the people who are in that room. So thank you again for your very active involvement in that project. Thank you.
And now, Paul Marinos, please.
Just a few words. But personally, I feel that I was very honored to be in this editorial committee of this book. Honor, pleasure, and great responsibility. And I am and we are very pleased with the result presented to you today. We are in IAEG very content with the results obtained during these 50 years. And this is described and presented, reflected by going through the pages of the book. Beyond the main contribution of this kind of association to bring together people in the science of the application of geology in engineering practice and the environment, you can see the contribution of IAEG in research, in technology, in the application for the benefit of mankind. You can see also the developing of our science from the descriptive phase to the phase of the quantifying the behavior, based always, however, on the geological conditions and the roots. Never forget that. Well, a special chapter, as you may have seen in the list of contents, is the synergy with the other societies in the geotechnical field and not only there. And you can see the development of this synergy. And I just repeat the words of Luciano Picarelli. Cooperation, no competition. And this is there. And we have also the federation which was developed through this policy and task. And the last word, friendship and human relations. This is also reflected from the pages of the book, illustrated with a number of photos from that life. Friendship as is developed here also in this time, in this wonderful place in Torino, and in this Congress. Thank you.
And now, Ricardo Oliveira, please.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's my pleasure to finish the presentation of our book. I want to show you again the contents of the book, etc. You have always seen that. I'd make my remarks on 3 topics. And I'd start before that saying, as it was clear, that this it was a joint work of a rather small team, but this team had a lot of contributions for dozens of colleagues of different types, and we have to thank them, all of them, and the thank is in the book as well, and I take the opportunity to thank again. The 3 things I'd like to mention is those things in which I was personally more involved. As I said, it was a joint work. We revised what others wrote and so on, but some of us, and the name is there in the book, were more responsible for one or for the other thing. First of all, I'd like to say that I don't remember the reason why, but I was supposed to be writing the history of engineering geology. And I refused to write the history of engineering geology. I proposed, it was accepted, to write a history of engineering geology. And I explained in the introduction, why I accepted to write a history and not the history. Second thing is related to the list of textbooks. First of all, the list is of textbooks, that means books which deal with all materials related to engineering geology. There are fantastic books which are referred to in the texts, but not in the appendix of the list of books on dams, on slopes, on underground, etc. These are not textbooks in the sense of textbooks on engineering geology. So I used, for many, many years, I distribute to my students a list of textbooks in engineering geology. And this was the start. Then we asked the cooperation of many colleagues. We had a lot of arguments among us in this small committee. And finally, we arrived to the list which is shown in the book. This does not mean that all the textbooks are there, and we apologize for the missing ones, but all of you must understand, if you don't find your book there, it's not because we don't like so much you or the book, but it's because we are not able to reach there. So we did our best in that purpose. Finally, the question of the photos. There are a lot of beautiful photos. A lot of people gave us photos for consideration. And the book is illustrated. The different chapters of the book are illustrated with photos. Very nice photos related to the honorary moments of our association, related to the very interesting works, etc. But we thought it would be interesting to have an appendix just devoted to photos of IAEG. And so we decided to make an appendix, which at the end is an album, by decades. The first decade, 64, 74, 74, 84, etc. And what happened is that the first decade, very little photos had. And I was the one having most of these photos, because I am not one of the oldest, but one of the more experienced fellow of IAEG. So I kept these photos, and for example, for the first Congress, I tried with our French colleagues, with Sébastien Dupré, etc., but the only photo we are publishing is a bateau mouche visit during the first Congress in 1970 in Paris, where obviously I am because the photo was mine, but it's very interesting because you have John Franklin, is in the picture, with one of the many wives he has in his life, Pierre Dufaux, who is the only wife he had in his life, and still has, myself with my wife, which is the only one I had in my life as well, still have. And so it was difficult. We decided to put 6 in the first decade, 12 in the other decades, and we had so many in the last decade that we decided to balance with 18 with the 6 of the first decade. So we have 60 photos. I hope you like. The last word to say, we did our best to put as many people as possible. I'm sure that many of you will probably find that you are not there. But this is not because we didn't make an effort to put as many people as there, as many responsible for IAEG and for the life of IAEG since the very beginning until today. So we make the best we could, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, and you can collect your each one issue of the book in half an hour, when this section will be finished, in the stand of IAEG, just over the stairs. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that you really enjoy the book. Your critics and your comments will be very well received for us. Thank you, all of you, again.